Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking some time out of your days to tune into this brief webinar recording on the 2023 Farm to School Census. My name is Kelsey Porter, and I am a Regional Farm to School Specialist in the USDA Food and Nutrition Services Mid-Atlantic Regional Office. We know how busy everyone is, so this webinar is meant to be brief, only about 20 minutes. And I have the agenda on the next slide. The goal of this webinar is to help you feel prepared to fill out the 2023 Farm to School Census and to emphasize its importance. I'll very briefly cover 5 main topics. What is the Farm to School Census? Why is it important? Who should complete the census and when? What types of questions are asked? And what guidance and resources are available? I'll be using the phrase School Food Authority, the acronym SFA, and the phrase School District throughout this presentation. Probably everyone is used to that, but I wanted to make that quick disclaimer. So what is the Farm to School Census? The census is the only national survey that provides a snapshot of how SFAs across the country are participating in farm to school activities, such as local food purchasing and the use of edible school gardens. It gives the big picture of what farm to school looks like nationwide, and because we regularly collect this data every 4 years, it shows how farm to school is growing and maturing over time. The 2023 census will be the 4th time a census has been conducted. Prior censuses were conducted in 2013, 2015, and 2019. The 2023 census will be asking specifically about the farm to school activities that occurred last school year, the 2022-2023 school year, and results will show, to the extent possible, the level of farm to school engagement among national school lunch program operators nationwide as well as at the state level. The census is conducted by USDA's Food and Nutrition Service with support from subcontractors, including Decision Information Resources. The census is important because it is the only survey of its kind, and it's used by a wide variety of stakeholders for many diverse reasons. On the whole, the census identifies opportunities for farm to school expansion and barriers to participation. This information is useful to federal and state governments making decisions about farm to school resource allocation and programming needs. And then on the local level, information from the census can be used by support organizations writing grant applications, by SFAs who may be interested in learning about what other districts in their area are doing, or even by farmers looking to connect with schools. So the census is a very valuable resource to many people. I also want to note, especially for this audience, that USDA does not conduct the farm to school census to use results against SFAs in any way, nor does the state reference this data during the administrative review process. Farm to school is an encouraged practice, but it's not mandated. Additionally, I wanted to mention that individual SFA data will be publicly available, but the name or contact information of the child nutrition director will be. This recent census was conducted in 2019. It was sent to nearly 19,000 SFAs across the country with over 12,000 responding, making for a 67% response rate. This year, we're aiming for an 80% response rate, and of course, we need your help in making that happen. As of last week, the response rate was 61.9, so there's a little ways to go still in a short period of time. But the 2019 census showed that 65% of SFAs were engaged in some form of farm to school activity, with more than half just beginning their farm to school programming. It also showed that nearly $1.3 billion was spent by SFAs on local food products, demonstrating that farm to school generates significant investment in local economies. On the whole, the farm to school censuses have shown that farm to school is growing. You can view more of that national level data by looking up USDA Farm to School Census online. We also wanted to share some information about the response rate in New Jersey, which in 2019 was 57.4. To foster a bit of friendly competition, I've included the response rate of other states in our Mid-Atlantic region. And as of last week, New Jersey's completion rate for this year's census was only 31.5%. We're really hoping to inch New Jersey up with our response rate since it's so low, and because we know there is very robust farm to school activity happening here, and we want that information captured. And the 2019 census does demonstrate that. You can view results from the census by state by scrolling to the bottom of the results page and selecting New Jersey from the Find Your State list, or by clicking the link in this slide. The 2019 census showed that 72.6% of New Jersey SFAs participate in farm to school, which was higher than the national average, with almost 80% serving local food. You can also view individual level SFA data by using the Search for an SFA bar again at the bottom of the results page, or you could view a list of SFAs within a radius of a certain zip code. If you're not familiar with this site, we encourage you to check it out. And if you are newer to your district, you may want to review the results that your predecessors submitted and see where things were 4 years ago. In general, the 2023 census is very similar to the 2019 census, with a few minor changes to reflect current research needs, provide clarity, and streamline data collection. FNS made all updates with an eye to ensuring the questions in the 2019 and 2023 censuses are comparable and feasible for SFAs to complete. In some places, new questions were added to collect more detail about current issues with farm to school programming. For example, questions now assess challenges and technical assistance needs, the characteristic of local foods, and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some questions were removed and some questions were combined to improve efficiency and ensure the census was collecting only what was absolutely needed. For example, there were some changes made to the way local purchasing data is asked for to make that easier to provide. SFA directors from all public, charter, and private schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program are being asked to complete the census. This includes those who are not participating in Farm to School. We're still very interested in hearing your perspective, particularly around barriers to participation. Every SFA director should have received a unique link from Heather Morrison of Decision Information Resources on Monday, October 2nd. If you did not receive the link, cannot locate it, or are having trouble accessing it, we ask that you call the toll-free number or send an email directly to DIR. The last slide of this presentation has that information. SFA directors are ultimately responsible for completing the census and should be the ones to hit the submit button. That said, directors can send their census links to others working on farm to school within their community. If a district uses a food service management company, for example, the SFA director may want to send the link to the SMC point of contact. Or if your district has a school garden or educational initiatives that are run by teachers or community partners, those folks might be best suited to answer some sections of the census directly. Only one person can have the census open at a time, but entries will be saved when the page is closed, so the census can be returned to at any time for you to pick up where you left off. The census can be completed on a computer, tablet, or smartphone. The deadline for the census is December 31st. It was initially December 15th, but to get response rates up, the deadline has been extended. The general estimate for how long the census takes to complete is 30 minutes, but that amount of time can vary. If you're not participating in Farm to School at all, the census could take 5 or 10 minutes. If your district is engaged in and reporting on a wide variety of activities, on the other hand, it could take longer than the 30-minute estimate. Again, we're grateful to each of you for listening to this presentation and filling out the census survey. Regarding overall structure, these are the high-level topics that the 2023 Farm to School Census covers. There's sections on basic information about your SFA, participation in farm to school activities, details on those activities, and then perspectives on benefits and challenges related to farm to school. And then here we have the specific sections of the census The procuring and serving local food section in particular is detailed and will require you to reference your records. It asks about specific types of local foods purchased, sources of local food purchases, and dollar amounts spent on the different sources, including DoD Fresh and USDA foods. For this section and for any section, we ask that you give your best estimate. We acknowledge that all of your vendors may not provide specific origin tracing information and that you may not have access to these specific details. Again, please use your best estimate. Census is conditional and uses a variety of question types, including choose all options that apply, multiple choice questions to respond to in a grid, questions with responses that need to add up to a total, particularly in that local food purchasing section. That said, most questions include an other field where you can input specifics or an I don't know option as well. We do have a resource page available that can help you prepare for completing the census. A full sample survey is available, but because the questions are conditional, it's very dense and lengthy. I would recommend referencing the preparation worksheet instead. This 2-page worksheet goes over the questions that might require you to reference your records, look up information, or ask a colleague. Tables for the local food purchase questions are included here, for example. And if you complete this worksheet first, you could then zip through the census really quickly, so it could help you streamline the process. Also included here are quick facts, which have help desk information, and previous slides and webinar recordings from earlier this fall. Lastly, included on that resource page section are some graphics. We encourage you to use these graphics and share your completion of the census on social media, in your email signature, in newsletters, etc. Some common questions that we get regarding the census are around not knowing specific information that is being asked. And again, we ask that you use your best estimate. Another common question we get is, do I need to do the census if I'm not doing farm to school? And as mentioned, we do want to emphasize that we are still asking you to complete the census. Your data will still help illustrate where things are with farm to school nationally. And again, we'd be particularly interested in your perspective on barriers and challenges. And plus, if you're not doing much in the way of farm to school, the survey should only take 5 to 10 minutes. So those are 2 questions that have come up a lot. Another question specifically that has come up is about your SFA ID number. The SFA basic information section of the census has a question about this. That number will be pre-populated in your unique survey link. It is a number assigned by the New Jersey Department of Agriculture. If you know there is an error with your number, you'll have the opportunity to indicate that and to correct it. If you're not sure, you can just go ahead and move forward in the survey, leaving the pre-populated number as is. If you have additional questions, we encourage you to reach out. If you have technical difficulties or technical questions, we ask that you contact DIR directly at this phone number or email address. And if you have additional questions more on the content, how to fill out the answers around farm to school, you are welcome to contact me. And you are welcome to contact Nicole Broadwater from the New Jersey Department of Agriculture. I know you all have been hearing from her and getting reminders from her, so you can reach out to either of us at any time. Thank you again for your attention to this presentation and for filling out the census.